my name is Christina, and I wanted to share with you something that has encouraged me in my quiet times with the Lord. And the passage that I wanted to share with you is Isaiah 55, verses 8 and 9. And it says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." And this verse was really encouraging to me as I was reflecting on the fact that God's ways and his thoughts and how everything works is so much bigger than what I can see and even imagine. And this came to me as I was spending time outside. As you guys are probably in the same boat, we're trying to get as much time outside as we can because we're staying inside most of the day. And I just looked up and I saw the sky and the trees and the birds. And as I lift my eyes physically, I feel like God lifted my perspective and reminded me that his ways and his thoughts are just so much higher than mine. And he can really be trusted because he sees things from such a bigger perspective. I can really trust that in this process where we don't really understand, why we're going through what we're going through, or even just when things will go back to normal, or what this means for the future, that I can really trust that God's ways and his thoughts are higher. And another passage it reminded me of, or another verse, which is one of my favorites, is Romans 8:28. And it says, "And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose." I was so encouraged by that because I was remembering God works everything together for good. And he says in this verse, he works all things together for good. And even when I can't see, how all this will tie together, in some ways, God really can be trusted. Oh, there's a bug. God can really be trusted. And I can firmly believe in his goodness, that he's going to work this together for good. And ultimately, the good of even just knowing him more and trusting him more and leaning into what, who his character is, and really just gleaning from him everything that I can, is good. And, no matter what this season will look like in the near future, I can really cling to these truths that he sees things that are higher. His perspective is higher, his ways are higher, and he works it together for good. And he is good. And so those things really encouraged me recently in my quiet times with the Lord. And my challenge was just what are those things that I tend to get bogged down in, whether it's thoughts of and concerns of the future, or even just what the day in and day out is looking like. And, what are those things that I just need to lift my perspective, maybe physically and even just spiritually and in my heart. Where do I need to lift my perspective up and remember that God's ways are higher and he can be trusted to work all these things together for good, and he himself is good. And that was something that encouraged me recently in my quiet time.